Our next headline, this was a big one in the NBA world. We'll go to ESPN. The Buss family agrees to sell the Lakers to Mark Walter at a $10 billion valuation. TK, is this news?
This is huge news. This is the kind of news that the Hoop Collective did an emergency podcast for on a team sale. That's how big a news this is. And honestly, it feels like it could be kind of sad, if I'm being quite honest, the end of the Buss era in Los Angeles. The glamour franchise of the NBA and the Lakers was just a family-run business, a family-owned business, which is kind of crazy and kind of worrying for the rest of the NBA now, I think, because it's like the Lakers are always going to come out on top over the course of time. Like every good player that gets photoshopped into a Lakers jersey, he ends up on the Lakers in the future regardless. Now they have a ton of money to spend on everything else outside of basketball because we got a hard cap in the NBA. The second apron basically functions as a hard cap. There are reasons a hard cap was put in place for a guy like Mark Walters, for a guy like Steve Ballmer, Joe Lacob, who have enough money that they don't care about spending over the salary cap. They'll pay anything in luxury tax, but there's all these penalties for aggregating players, your draft picks getting frozen, this stuff that makes it so Walter can't do what he did for the Dodgers in MLB, where you just pay everybody more money than anybody else can. So at least there's a playing field that's level from a salary standpoint for the Lakers, but now they can hire any GM they want. Like Masai Ujiri, maybe come on down. Sam Presti, come on down. We'll offer you $100 million a year to be our guy. They could easily do it if they want to. They're going to have the best facilities in the NBA. They're going to have the best player development staffs in the NBA. That's the funny thing about the Lakers is they are such a star-studded franchise, but that's mostly on the court. Off the court, they were kind of lagging behind other teams, and now there's no way that's going to be the case.
Yes, exactly it. And that's why we won't see these family-run businesses anymore. You're going to see companies and organizations that are run by organizations that are smarter with their money and willing to spend. And what the Mark Walter-led ownership of the Dodgers did was a lot of those things that you did say, Trey, improve facilities, improve the front office, improve that kind of thing. Coaching talent even, find JJ Redick, some other assistant coaches that can help player development. Go deeper. And I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to spend, even though, these numbers are just these numbers that it's impossible for me. I don't know if I speak for you guys, but it is impossible for me to understand. It's 10 billion at this point. It could eventually go up to 12 billion.
Yeah, that's what the reporting's saying.
And the numbers keep getting higher with all of these organizations that are going to be run by non-family businesses.
Sovereign wealth funds.
Yes, exactly. These. So yeah,
the Abu Dhabi Lakers.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah. Walter paid Shohei Ohtani a ton with the Dodgers. It's the same ownership. He paid Shohei Ohtani $700 million over 10 years. Although it's like all of it was deferred.
That's the craziest thing when you're reading this, to see the Ohtani contract. They owe him $700 million, but they pay him $2 million a year.
Yeah, they push 680 later. We'll pay you later.
And they're probably laughing. They're probably like coming out easily in the green.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and Ohtani's
for sure.
Because, they're winning champion. They're winning World Series. He's obviously a star around the globe. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no. Ohtani, part of his reasoning for signing there was the ownership.
Yeah.
Which is an odd thing to say. I always talked with our man Joel McMillan on No Bunts that he would always say, "Oh, the Dodgers, no, they're never going to come around. They're never going to come around. They're not going to be good." And then all of a sudden they change ownerships, and now they're there doing it every single season, winning 100 games. Because of these tiny little changes and a $700 million change, but also these tiny little changes in practice facilities and all that kind of stuff. And that's where the Lakers seemingly will benefit.
Yeah. So Walter here and his group, like you guys are saying, primary owner, chairman of the Dodgers. He is currently holding a minority stake in the Lakers. Like he had like 27%. So this is just being bumped up to the majority here. He took stake in 2021 of the Lakers, him and his partner, again, that 27% share of the franchise. It was valued at that time, the Lakers, at $5 billion. And here we are 4 years later, and we're looking at 10 plus billion, which is pretty wild. It's just insane. We just saw the Celtics in, I guess, I don't know if it's official, but that's a $6.1 billion sale. That's a lot more than even just what happened with the Mavericks and Cuban moving off. I think that was like 3.5. Like, this is an eye-opening number. Right? You saw all the valuations. I remember at the time, like Lakers are probably 6 or 7, somewhere around there. 10 billion, Trey. Mm-hmm. I mean,
the most valuable franchise in sports, period. Not in America.
Right.
Globally.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You can see why Glenn Taylor tried to call take backs on selling to A-Rod for $1.5 billion. He's like, whoops.
Whoa, damn. Yeah, no, it's a good point. And the Buss family has done pretty well. Jerry Buss purchasing the Lakers from Jack Kent Cooke, one of my favorite names to say, back in '79 for $67.5 million. That was the transaction. Also included the Kings, the Los Angeles Forum. I think a ranch was included as well, and then the Lakers. So that was, quite the return on investment here. The $67.5 million, about 50 years later, we're at the 10 billion plus. Now, Ramona Shelmert had an interesting tweet. She said, maybe the reason why this is happening here, like why the Buss family is selling it, the majority of the Lakers, is that Dr. Buss structured his trust after, before he passed, so the team could only convey to his 6 children. So it was set up sort of, maybe even oddly, as a last man standing situation, unless the team was sold by majority vote beforehand. Because my point here, to break that down, it's like the way it was set up is probably whoever the youngest of the Buss family kids are, they'll be the ones that eventually would take it all on. But they thought, maybe that's not fair. Maybe we start getting into these numbers that we do sell here to then evenly share this money. To Johnny, to Jim, to Jeannie, to Janny, to Joey, to Jesse.
No, are those all the children?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
There's a seventh that Dr. Buss has, but I don't...
Rick.
Steve.
Well, they went through a legal battle a few years ago. Where Jeannie was able to retain management ownership.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how all those legal battles work, but she had ownership. She had the ability to run it, and she was doing it extremely well.
Well, and they say, at least here, the reports are that Jeannie Buss is going to continue to serve in her role as Lakers governor, to which I say, bullshit. No, she won't. She will maybe right now. It looks good, but she will not continue.
Ramona Shelburne reporting that there's language in the contract, and her source is Jeannie Buss.
So you're saying, Skeets, it's more of a Mark Cuban situation.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Where Mark Cuban sold the Mavericks, but
generally
was not
people
there.
don't buy things for $10 billion and say, hey, the other person, you run it.
Well, it's for a few years is what they're sort of implying.
Allegedly, the Buss family kept 15%.
Yes.
Which is what you have to be considered a governor for the team.
I
Mark
think it's
Cuban
unlikely.
Mark Cuban must hate this. Every time a team sells, they're like, what about Mark Cuban, though? He said he was going to be running the team.
Yeah,
they did say that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That was proven not true.
Yeah.
So I think something similar will happen here. Maybe I'm wrong. But the other part, holy crap. You have to assume Silver and the league knew these sales were cooking here, right? I'm talking about especially the Celtics, the Grosbeck sale, and then now this one with the Lakers. He was kicking the can when it came to expansion down the road. I think in large part because he's like, hold on. We got 2 of the most storied franchise in the world. They're talking about sales and stuff like that. Let's get those sold. That's going to only drive up the market for these eventual expansion teams, right? It's so obvious now. It's like they could have done expansion, but and then the new television deal too. And I know that comes into play, but man, because now this just is even crazier now. The pockets you're going to have to get these expansion teams. It just sets it higher.
Yeah.
Right?
No, there's no doubt. I do wonder what happened with the ranch. Sorry to go to the ranch.
I think
the
a
ranch.
Yeah.
You're right. That was reported for sure.
I'm interested. Does that have anything to do with Phil Jackson being done with the ranch? So Jeannie Buss is done with the ranch and they can just get rid of the ranch. But I don't know if that's part of this sale.
I don't know.
That was part of the 79
maybe
sale.
the unnamed 7th Buss child has the ranch.
Right.
Rick's ranch.
Cowboy Rick.
Rick is
I don't care about the team. Let me have the horses.
Ricky's ranch.
Anything else on this?
Look, I'm not a conspiracy guy, but everybody was like,
that's always what a conspiracy guy starts with.
That's what he always starts with. The Luka trade, if you're trying to say it's not a conspiracy, having the Mavericks get the #1 pick and then the Lakers sell for $10 billion are pretty hilarious things to leave with no cover up at all.
Sure.
No cover for this team, but pretty crazy the way this is played out.
Unbelievable. So right now reported 10 billion valuation, but yeah, could be even more. We'll wait to find out.